First of all, hi to everyone. Myself Prasant. We are in the part 7 of the chapter Historical Background of the Indian Constitution. So let's start. And our today's topic is Government of India Act of 1919. Right? Before discussing the important points of this act, we need to know a background of it. So let's start. So Government of India Act of 1919, right? So why did it came? So the reason was that on 20th August, on 20th August 1917, British government has announced that its objective was for bringing its ultimate its ultimate objective was to bring gradually responsible government gradually responsible government gradually responsible government in India, right? So this was one of the reason because of which this act came, and this act came into effect in year 1921. You need to know the year also, and this act is also known as Montague Chelmsford Monte-Chelmsford reform, right? Why Monte-Chelmsford reform? Because Montague was Secretary of State for India then, Secretary of State, and Chelmsford was the then Viceroy. Viceroy. Pardon me for the wrong pronunciation, if any. So this is it, I guess. Uh, Now let us move to the important points of this act, right? So the first point says that central and provincial subjects were formed through this act, though government continued to be centralized. So, through this act, central subjects and provincial subjects were formed. Center was independent on legislating on central subjects. Provinces were independent on legislating on provincial subjects. So, this is what it means. Despite these subjects and despite this central and provincial subject, government continued to be centralized and unitary. You need to know this. Then the second point says that through this act, diarchy at provinces was brought. So in this diarchy at provinces, there was transfer subject and the other is reserved subject. So what does this diarchy means and what does this transport subject and reserve subject means? So we will discuss it in detail in the next slide by mentioning a few points. So diarchy. Diarchy means double government. Remember this, double government. And through this and this diarchy was brought at provincial level, not central level. Remember, through at provincial level. It was brought at provincial level through this act, through this 1919 act, right? Now, what does this transport subject means? One second. Yeah, transport subject, transferred subject. So, what does this transport subject means? It means that it means that governor governor can can administer can administer through aid of council of minister responsible to the legislative council. So governor can administer through aid of council of minister who are responsible to legislative council, right? So administer, remember administer. Governor can administer, council of ministers. Governor can administer through council of minister who are responsible to legislative council in transport subject. Now, in reserved subject, what happens? In reserved subject, here also governor administers. Here also governor administers, but but through the aid of his executive council. Executive, but through the aid of his executive council, which is not responsible to, not responsible to, not responsible to, not responsible to legislative council, right? Legislative council. So what is the difference? Difference is that here governor administers through the aid of council of ministers, right? Through council of minister, and here governor administers through the aid of executive council. Here council of ministers are responsible to legislative council. Here executive council is not not responsible to legislative council. So this is what transferred subject and reserved subject means. uh, the second point means the same which I explained just right now. So diarchy at provinces, transport subject was there by governor with the aid of ministers. Reserved subject, not government, it's governor with the aid of executive council. So I hope the second point is clear. So this Government of India Act of 1919 also brought for the first time back cameralism and direct election in the country. Majority of the house, majority. So bicameralism means there are two houses. So a majority of the members of both the houses, of the two houses, majority of them were elected through direct election. So for the first time bicameralism came. Now this bicameralism had lower house and upper house. So lower house, we all know, is known as a legislative assembly, and upper house means council of state, right? So this is what it is saying. And here it is also important to note that uh, that that majority were elected through direct election. It's already mentioned there, so I hope it is clear. Now, fourth point. Fourth point says that there. So through this act, communal electorate came for Sikh, Indian Christian, and Anglo Indians, as well as Europeans. So we saw in previous act, in Indian Council Act of 1909, ICA, ICA 1909. First time communal electorate came in the form of Muslim electorate, right? Muslim electorate. Muslim electorate. And we are seeing the same thing. We are seeing here extension of more electorates. So Sikh electorates came, Indian Christian electorates came, and Anglo Indians electorates came, as well as European electorates came. So communal electorate um, came for number of religious groups or number of groups. So this is what it is saying. Now, this act brought limited franchisee on the basis of property, tax, or education. So it is saying limited franchisee. Don't in exam questions can be asked that through government of India. In exam questions can be asked like through Government of India Act of 1919, universal adult franchisee came. So it is wrong. Universal adult franchisee. Universal adult franchise. So it is wrong. Here it's saying limited franchisee. Limited franchise. So limited franchise came on the basis of property tax or education, not universal adult franchise. Remember this, right? Uh, like in today's scenario in our country, we have universal adult franchise. Everyone has the right to vote, and there is equal. Like if I am a person, then value of my vote is 1 unit. The same way, whether there is a person who is very rich or who is at a high post in government or who is PM, CM, that particular person will also have the same value. His value of vote will also be one only. It's not that if person has a lot of wealth, if person has a lot of political power, he will have multiplication of votes. No, value of vote or unit of vote is one for everyone. So this is what universal adult franchisee means, and everyone has the right to vote in universal adult franchisee. Whoever whoever is eligible in that age bar. Now, sixth point says that it provided for the establishment of Central Public Service Commission, and it was set up in 1926. So first time through this act, Central Public Service Commission came in India, and it was set up in 1926. So another important point is that there was separation of provincial and central budget. So provinces were independent on their budget, and central government was independent on its own budget. So there was independence of budget for government at both for the government at both the levels. So this is what it is saying. This act also mentioned that there will be appointment of a statutory commission after 10 years. So the this act will be reviewed, and this act will be seen that how this act is going, and after analyzation of this act, there will come and there will come an another act, and it will have certain provisions. So this is what it says. And Simon Commission Simon Commission Simon Commission was the result of this point. After 10 years, though Simon Commission came 2 years before in 1927. But the main thing which is important to remember is here is that, and Simon Commission came in accordance to the provision of this Government of India Act 1919. We will discuss Simon Commission in our next video, but for now, it is important to know that Simon Commission came in accordance with the provisions of Government of India Act of 1919. So this is also a very important point. It says that three-sixths three-sixths of the member to be an Indian in Executive Council of Viceroy. So it is clear that three-sixths of the member of the executive council were to be Indian. So there was there was a there was Viceroy's executive council was six-member council, right? Six-member council, and in this three were to be Indians. Three were to be Indians. Three were to be Indians, but in these three, none of them should have the position of commander in chief. None of them. None of them should have should should have or held position of commander in chief. Commander in chief. Commander in chief position in Viceroy's Executive Council. In Viceroy's Council. Viceroy's Council. Right? So this is what it says and it means. This act also says that a new office of High Commission was to be set up in London. So, and this new office of High Commission got some powers of the Secretary of State. Secretary of State, right? There were certain powers which were assigned to Secretary of State. So those powers were given to a High Commission in London. So thank you for your time. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you really enjoyed and learned something from this video. I'll be coming up next with the part 8 of the chapter historical background of the Indian Constitution, and in that part I'll discuss in detail Government of India Act of 1935. Yeah, 1935. So thank you again. Thank you so much.